Happy Friday to you. We are here. We are live, and we are ready to talk about the Santa Anita Pick'em contest. We've got the Wolf of Ucla, Chase. How you doing today, buddy?
Man, I'm doing great. There's been some great racing around the country that I've been watching, just
Yeah.
like running through a friggin' monsoon at Caneland. There's Belmont's just beating me senseless. All sorts of fun to be had. But yeah, man, pretty pumped to look at these pickup contests with you.
So for a lot of you out there, you're probably like, what are they talking about? What are these Santa Anita Pick'em contests? Don't worry. We're going to pull up the website. We're going to show you exactly how to get involved. It's super easy. It's like any kind of contest. All you really have to do is register. All you have to do is create an account. So we'll take you step by step. And it's a contest that is based around 12 props that are combinations of like sports wagering and sports props and horse racing. So, like for example, questions about BYU Baylor over under in the game, but the college football game. And then there's another question that asks which race on the card at Santa Anita Saturday will have the highest win payout. So it's going to really test your skills, combination of sports and horse racing, your knowledge of that Saturday card at Santa Anita.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to be Rocky when he knocked out communism, right? So to be that, you got to prove that you're the most all around just badass on the planet. And then to do that, you need to be able to handicap your sports and handicap your horses. I mean, I love it because, I mean, you and I, we're both horse guys, but we're also definitely sports guys. And, most people who are, very much sports guys also, dabble on the horses whenever they can get a tip.
And get an opportunity to jump in and to dive in. And that's what we are going to do right this second. We're going to dive in. We're going to show you what this contest looks like. I'm going to pull up the top of the page. It's pick'em.santanita.com. That is the website. And Chase, it's really, really easy to sign up. All you have to do is just type the website in, pick'em.santanita.com, or you can just go to the front website of Santa Anita and you'll be able to click on contest and you get right there and you just sign up, email address, cell phone number. They're going to send you a message. So you're going to have to just confirm, and it's basically 1 point per prop. So that's the thing all the way down, right? In the races, that's what's intriguing about them, is that like an 8-1 shot plays the same as an 8-5 shot. You just got to make sure you pick and choose the right races to chalk out and the right races to maybe feel like that chalk is vulnerable.
So two quick things. Can you scroll up for me, Gino, real quick?
Yep.
It's I just want to point out the color scheme. Doesn't it look like something just supernatural is happening? That something supernatural that you need to be a part of?
Right.
Like Superman just crashed into Iowa and now he's being strengthened by Earth's yellow sun. Two, I mean, I'm a person who has trouble picking out passwords. I literally just came up with something degrading about Gino, and that is my password.
There you go. And now when we do these, hopefully we'll try to get these for you the next few weeks when these Santa Anita Pick'em contests go on Friday. You'll know very easily because you'll see my mug and you'll know that derogatory term or whatever it is for your password. It's right there, easy to remember for you. So Santa Anita Pick'em contest, go right now to pick'em.santanita.com and make sure to start building your lineup. And all you do once you're registered is click on the top cards, and we will get right into the Saturday, October 16th slate. Like anything you do, Chase, you have to remember right away to fill out that tiebreaker.
Got to get that tiebreaker in.
The worst thing is like having a great entry in something and you don't have a tiebreaker. Do you have like a guess or something, a way that you kind of handicap just putting the tiebreaker in for this game?
I honestly, I looked at how many yards per game each team was giving up. Passing and rushing. And then I just kind of finagled a bit, I just kind of massaged it a little bit.
I did the same exact thing. Yeah.
I came up with 745.
That's so funny. I'm at 752. We're pretty close. We're pretty close to each other. And,
listen, if this was the Price is Right, you would not be getting the stereo or the dinette set because you went over, my man.
That's true. I went over. Chase gets the showcase showdown here as we get set to move along through the Saturday contest at Santa Anita. So make sure to get involved right now, and we'll help you out there might be one or two of these props that you may have a tough time with. Don't worry. That's what we're here for. Like you said, UCLA averaging 426 total yards. They allow around 400 yards per game. Washington, they average about 375. They allow about 326 per game. UCLA's defense, though, they're not that great. They gave up 569 in a game that I think you liked, Fresno State. I believe you picked Fresno State. And
Legends were born that night.
Great call on your part, my man. So, yeah, we're right in that same range. We're in the 750-ish range, thinking that that's probably a pretty good guess if you're looking for a tiebreaker number to throw out there. So, yeah, just something that's simple. You look at the total yards for the teams. You kind of figure, which, maybe this team's a little bit better defensively than a team they played before, and that's the direction you end up going. So that's your tiebreaker. Let's jump into the actual 12 props throughout the contest. Race prop number one, it's pretty simple, Chase. It's race number one. And if you're looking at race number one at Santa Anita, who are you looking at as a horse that you're interested on Saturday?
This is the kind of prop I love. It's JPW. Just pick winners. And
exactly.
I like this 4 Ivy League. When I looked at this race, there's a real question of who's going to be the early speed here, and then there's also a lot of questions of pedigree as to who's going to handle the mile in the 8th. Mile in the 8th at Santa Anita is just so drastically different from every other turf course in the country. It feels like, because you can fly, absolutely fly on the front end, because it's like you get like a quarter horse kind of lead into the first turn because they start so far back. I kind of thought that this 4 Ivy League might press and go get it. The horse is 1 at the distance. It's 1 at the track at the distance.
Yep.
And, you got Papa Mandela. He trains a pretty good horse. One of my all-time favorites, Omaha Beach, before, someone stole his epiglottis, who will remain nameless, and kept him out of the Kentucky Derby. But, dropping out of the Del Mar Oaks, had a decent run in the was it Providencia? At a couple months back.
Puts a couple starts together to, so probably a little fitter, little sharper. When you see the running lines and you run in April, a couple months off, you come back in June, couple months off, she'll probably be better and just fitter. And then you're dropping in class. Like, she feels like one of the major contenders in this spot.
Also, big thing is the jockey change, or I guess staying with the same jockey after the change from Mike Smith. I don't know about you, but for me, Mike Smith on turf is just like an auto fade most of the time.
And right now he's probably overvalued a lot of the time, depending on where he, what spot it is. So Ivy League right off the bat for Chase, as we jump into the horse that I'm kind of intrigued in race number one. I'm looking at Get on the Bus. It's time to go being grown up. You know what I'm talking about, right, Chase? You know what I'm going with this.
No, I have absolutely.
These are the best days of our lives. Oh, yeah, what, the Ataris, I think, right there. So,
wow.
Get on the Bus. Didn't like that one? That didn't hit home for you there? No. That was swing and a miss for Chase. So
those are my ludicrous days, Gino.
Get on the Bus. I actually think that last effort was a little bit sneaky and a little bit better than it looks on paper. So Get on the Bus was going 1 mile and 3/8, and she actually tried to get a little bit more involved early. I think I can pull this race up here, show you what I'm talking about. So she actually broke well, and you could tell she wanted to be a little bit more forwardly placed in this race. She is the number 7 in this spot. So you can see she's not that far out of it, but unfortunately she's kind of stacked up wide. So the plan it's either go and then probably go a little faster than she wants, or take back. And so they end up taking back. I think she's going to be a little more forwardly placed than it looks on paper in this spot. I think with the cutback from 1 mile and 3/8, just cutting back a little bit to 1 mile and 1/8, that will help her out a bit. England's Rose came out of that race to come back and win again. So that race has come back to be very productive so far. Top-notch connections that we know team up for many, many wins. So I think Get on the Bus is sort of intriguing in here. Hopefully she will do better than I did with my singing, because that just did not hit home for Chase there with Get on the Bus.
This is one of those occasions where it really pays off to understand your track configurations, because if you look at the race that they were running at Del Mar, like 1 mile and 3/8, it was, just a couple seconds and they were into the turn. It's going to slow down that first, opening fraction, as opposed to that really hot early fraction that we're probably going to see, at the 1 mile and 1/8 at Santa Anita.
So that is race number 1. And just to give you an idea What I really like too is they show you on when you're putting together the props, you can see what the percentages are so far of everyone that's been building their props and all that they put in. So, like anything, you don't want to go with the high percentage every time. There's going to be at least a few races where you want to zig when everyone's zagging, because that's how you win contests like this. That's how you really get some separation. So if you want to play along with Chase, get on the bus here. I'm only with 6%. Chase is on Ivy League. That's only been a 12% selection, with a lot of the money coming in on Feathers early on, which you would assume Feathers, being a short price on the morning line. And then you look at Cider Apple also taking over 20%. So we could get some really good separation right off the bat here, Chase, if we were able to get one of these horses that aren't necessarily going to be the most used in a lot of people's lineups and contests.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. That is, when I was going through and filling out my my ticket, that is the one thing that really jumped out at me that I absolutely loved, was being able to see that percentage, kind of like you would see like a almost like a percentage started in just like a DFS kind of format.
Exactly.
You're right. You got to be contrarian to win some of these things. Sometimes you got to eat chalk and take what's everyone's opinion is, because that's what's going to happen. But yeah, got to be contrarian somewhere.
So we move along to prop number 2. Now we're getting into college football. So these contests are every Saturday and every Sunday for the next couple of weeks over at Santa Anita. And so on Saturday, you'll get contests that will have a little bit more of a college football base. And actually next week, there'll be some basketball starting. NBA season kicks off on Tuesday, which is pretty crazy to think about. And there will be some baseball playoffs in some of them, but a lot of college football on Saturday. Sunday, you'll get more NFL-based props. You'll get some even some rushing yards and passing yard props. Kind of steered away from those, I think, in the college, because some of the players aren't quite as well known, right? Sort of everybody knows a Tom Brady, a Lamar Jackson, those players. It's a little bit different in college, where we don't quite know the college players like we used to,
right.
So more team and more game-based props for some of these. So in this particular one, you do a show every single week, actually, at 10 a.m. Eastern time on Saturday morning at BTV Bets, called Campus Profits, where you go over a lot of your college football plays for the weekend. So you've been pretty dialed in, and you do a pretty good job handicapping the college football slate each weekend.
Yeah. It's a really fun show if you haven't checked it out. Me, my boy XFL Jim, and Leo. I guess I have to mention him too. But it's great. We take you through the big games, and we look at your faithful favorite, your delicious dog, and maybe your teams that are on upset alert. It's kind of like watching College Game Day, but with far saltier language. So
yeah. So make sure that the kids are in the back room when you flip that one on. But
right.
we flip over to BYU to Baylor. What are your thoughts on this game with the total? We can see the over-under line for this prop is 50.5 points. And so far early on, a lot of people are leaning towards the over of 50.5 points, 79% leaning that way, 21% leaning under. Where are you leaning in this one, Chase?
I'm actually leaning towards the over. I'm gonna go with the group think here. For one, Baylor at home, traditionally a program that puts up just a ton of points. That's kind of how their offense is built. They're the Big 12 kind of all gas, no breaks, basketball on turf kind of approach. They've got a great quarterback. I can't remember his first name, Bohannon, who's actually from Arkansas. Toot toot. I really like this one to go over. I think that BYU's got a fairly salty defense, but I have a feeling that this is going to be a just kind of up and down scoring battle.
I agree completely. I'm leaning over in here. Baylor's last 3 games, they've given up 20, 24, and 29 points. And West Virginia scored 20, but West Virginia actually had 362 total yards that game. They had 24 first downs, and they had actually 9+ more minutes in time of possession. They could have scored a lot more in that game than those 20 points. You look over at BYU, their last 3 games, they've allowed 26, 20, and 27. These two teams both average over 400 yards, total yards per game. So that's something that even in games where they may not score a lot, they're moving the ball. That's something that is is probably one of the safer stats, right? How much someone's going to move the ball. Scoring can be a little fluky sometimes. Just based on their averages, BYU is averaging 27.2 and Baylor's averaging 38.3 because they've got a couple beatdowns in there. I'm with you also. I'm leaning over the 50.5 in our second prop, BYU Baylor over. So we move down to number 3. These ones are interesting because, I mean, these are just a shot in the dark in some of them, right? Like you can have an educated guess as much as you can, and you can kind of, you know, what do they say when you use some context clues and stuff to kind of figure out, you know, which races maybe have the shorter fields, right? Or which races have a favorite that you think looks pretty tough, and those are the races that you probably stay away from. Maybe the races that you think it's going to be a lukewarm favorite or it's wide open, or races that you think are a vulnerable favorite that you think is really beatable. Those might be the races that you look at for the highest payout on the card. How did you sort of handicap this third prop?
I wanted to look at the field size. You know, whenever I do like on-site live handicapping horse racing tournaments, this is what I do is I go through and I try to find the races that I feel like are going to generate bigger prices to be able to put, you know, have good contest plays. And so looking at this field size, and then also I love turf for prices. And so I went with the 5th race, 1.125 miles. This has, to me, just has chaos written all over it. I want sort of either a wonky or just kind of an unclear pace picture. And I think I get one here where I could either maybe get a horse steal it on the front, or I could maybe even get a horse to just kind of shock the world and crush souls and nip somebody at the wire. Because I mean, you had the one unicorn I thought could send in steal. That's 6-1 on the morning line. I'm not sure if you get all of that, but you also could have like a Kent DeSormo horse that's a just dead red closer. That's a 12-1. That's going to be sitting on that, you know, saving ground. So I was all over the 5th race here.
And that 5th race, let's take a look at one more time for Chase here, using our Drf Past Performances, drf.com. I'm looking at Formulator here, which is really great. Make sure to head to drf.com if you want to kind of play around with some of these tools here. This, to me, is one of the great handicapping uses. And, you know, you beat Fearless Girl, it's going to pay pretty well. And I do not think Fearless Girl by any means has to win this race. Like you said, you looked at Unicorn as a possibility. Mercy is a horse who's got some speed. A horse like New Heat, Zydeco Mama could pay about $12 to $15. Rose's Crystal wouldn't shock. Yeah, there are a lot of kind of pricey horses that fit the bill in this 5th race on the card. So that's the race that Chase has selected as his race with the likely highest payout on the card. For me, I'm going to move to race number 8. And I just thought this race, it's a Calbred maiden 50 for 2-year-olds and for 2-year-old fillies. And there is just no standout. I mean, the 2 is going to take a little bit of money, the first time starter for Mark Glatt. The 4 ran okay last time out, will probably be in like the 5 to 8-1 range. I like the 6, actually, a first-time starter for Luis Mendez, who's 8-1. If that horse wins, we'd be looking at around a $20 winner or so here. Even a horse like the 8, you know, Suetta's Ghost, who has been second in the last couple, but I mean, sure, she's probably the most likely winner in the race, but I don't think she has to win this race by any means. The 9 and 10 are both going to be in that 7-2, 4-1 range. So there's not even going to really be a short price in this field. And nothing would surprise me here with these lightly raced 2-year-old Calbred fillies. So I thought this race was maybe one where you could get a little bit of chaos, because I just don't even think there's going to be an overwhelming or short price favorite in here. So that was
you know, I've been focused on the eastern half of the United States for so long with you know, horse racing, but there's one thing I remember, and that's Luis Mendez with babies and first timers. He's got 2 sitting at 8-1 here.
And this is his absolute bread and butter. This is what Luis Mendez does. Like you said, if you are someone who doesn't play the West Coast races quite as much and you don't know that name because he's not quite as much of a household name, he gets horses ready, breaks them, and he has them win first time out, second time out, and then a lot of times he sells them. And other barns will purchase them, and then that's what he does. He'll get them ready to run. He'll get them ready to go, and then Someone else will take them off his hands. He'll make a nice profit and he'll move along. He just does a really good job of getting horses ready to fire. So,
and it's really worth noting whenever he puts a bug jock up on that first starter too, which he's doing with this the 6. He's getting Juan Espinoza and getting about a 2 or 3 pound, or sorry, like a 5 pound weight break.
So this is good. This is a kind of a sneaky fun race, which is the third prop on our contest that we're looking at for Santa Anita in that Santa Anita Pick'em contest. We move along to prop number 4. Now, this one you got to put your thinking cap on a little bit too. This one's fun. It is combined wins for Tyler Bays and for Juan Hernandez. So I think, basically what I did, and, if you're kind of wondering how to handicap this, I literally just listed all their mounts out, right? For each race. I started with Juan Hernandez. He has a mount in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. So he has 7 mounts on the Saturday card. And then I listed the prices that they are: 15 to 1, 6 to 1, 2 to 1, 8 to 1, 9 to 5, 4 to 1, and 8 to 5. So Juan Hernandez has a couple favorites, a couple very live horses, a couple longer prices. Tyler Bays has 5 mounts. He has race mounts in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th races. And he has 3 6 to 1 shots, a 15 to 1, and a 12 to 1 shot that he's on. And then I sort of specifically went through each of the horses and looked at them and kind of gave them a little bit of do they have a chance to win? Yes or no? Like you said, I did a little massaging with the number, and the number that I came out with, I thought Juan Hernandez had a chance maybe in the 2nd, 3rd, 7th, and 9th. I thought Tyler Bays had possibly 3 chances in the 6th, 7th, and 9th. So what I did is I kind of subtracted a little from that. I kind of gave them like 7 opportunities that I felt were really live.
Divided by pi.
Right? I subtracted a little bit and I ended up in the 4 to 6 range. And so that's where I am with them.
Now find the hypotenuse.
Right?
This one feels like one of those questions that made college a lot more expensive because of what I didn't do well on the SATs. I kind of did the same thing. I looked through the races that I handicapped. I thought, what are the races where I feel like they've got a good shot? And initially I came up on the 1 to 3 range. And then I also saw 76% of people were on it. And this one feels like one where you can definitely go ahead and just maybe try to be a little bit more contrarian. Yep. Because it's a lot more of a gray area. There's a lot more involved with this one as opposed to just picking a winner. So I was sitting at the 1 and 3. I said, I could always just bump this up just one more. Can they win just one more race? And I think they can. And that puts me in a position where only about 17% of the other contestants are going to have the same answer as I am.
Yep. So what, it doesn't hurt you as much if you're wrong.
Right.
These ones, right? These are the races where you really feel like you got to take a little bit of a chance. So I agree with you. A fun one as Tyler Bays and Juan Hernandez with big opportunities during Keeneland because someone like Pratt's out of town. Right. So they're getting more very live mounts here with the opportunity for big win days for the two of them. That is the number 4 prop on Santa Anita's Saturday Pick'em contest as we move along to number 5. And I got to say, Washington, UCLA. Washington is a 1.5 point favorite in this game, actually. It's at Washington. And UCLA is heavily backed by a lot of the people who have been entering this prop early. And I think this is a lot because, this is Santa Anita, Southern California. You got a lot of people in this area. And any of these local teams, I feel like, are going to probably get a little bit more support than they should. Does that mean UCLA can't win this game? No, but they probably should be. If I'm just playing this game off of the betting line, Washington's favored. Right?
Which is absolutely insane. Feels absurd to me.
Yeah, they're 2 and 3 and they're favored in this game. But I'm gonna go with Washington in this spot. I think just so many people are gonna go to UCLA, and I think UCLA is a solid football team. But we talked about a few minutes ago with Fresno State. Their defense is not that great. I think Washington will be able to move the ball fine. Washington's defense is okay. So they may kind of slow UCLA down a little bit. I think this will be a close game. If that is the case, I actually like the home team in this spot in a situation where I'm already going to tell that 75+% of people are going UCLA.
You know, there was a great Navy admiral who had a saying for this sort of game, which was, "It's a trap."
Yep.
It feels like a trap, and I'm going to go ahead and take the cheese and say UCLA because I don't get it. I know sometimes you can see these lines and you can say, man, I just don't understand where they came up with this. I'm sticking with my gut, and it turns out that the house was right all along. I really don't see it. I'm not impressed with Washington. Like it's got to be like volcano weather, for UCLA to be thrown off. Like I don't think a little bit of a temperature dip is going to hurt them. DTR. If you've watched Campus Profits, you know that I very much dislike Chip Kelly. And not a big fan of the UCLA Bruins. But I mean, let's call a winner here. I mean, this looks. I think UCLA should roll.
They should absolutely roll. And I completely I think UCLA is the better team. I think they're having a better year. There's all this really bad buzz around Washington too about how are they just not the same program anymore, right? They don't have the same kind of talent. Disappointing start to the year for them. And that's why I'm going contrarian with Washington and those Huskers, those little Huskies. We're going to be Husky with Wash as we move along. And we got to give a shout out on this next one to our buddy over at BetterThan.Vegas at BTV Bets, Beho with Kentucky. Man, what a great start to the year for Kentucky. I mean, even if they get their doors blown off in this game against Georgia, and Georgia is one of the best teams in the country, no doubt about it, Kentucky has overachieved early. I think their win total for over-under was like 6.5, 6.5 in some places, and they're already 6-0 right now, and they've had some turmoil to deal with. They've actually beat a couple pretty good teams too, but it shows you what Vegas thinks of this game because they are almost a 24-point underdog, and they are the 11th ranked team in the country.
I want to give everyone just a word of warning. If you ever find yourself watching a game and cheering against Kentucky and find yourself in the same room with Beho and Beho's parents, just get the hell out of there. You're taking your life into your own hands. It's insane. It's insane. They are rabid. I saw them foam at the mouth, and I love it. I do the same thing with my Razorbacks, so love it. What's interesting is this line has actually moved from what they provided. I've seen it at Georgia 21-point favorite, so it's actually moving back towards Kentucky right now.
So when you're looking at stuff like this, because think about Chase and I are recording this on Friday, so this prop goes up like on Thursday night, a lot of these contests, and then on Sunday the prop will end up going up a little bit like on Friday. So if you're looking at these props and you see the way the lines are moving, I mean, it probably makes sense to move with them if you can take advantage and get yourself a couple points off of that betting line.
I mean, it's obvious that enough money was coming in on Kentucky that people, that the house thought they needed to move it Georgia's way. And this is such a tough game. This really is a tough game to handicap. And, I mentioned being a Razorback fan. I thought my team could keep it close, and then we got absolutely obliterated by Georgia. They've got a really salty defense right now. Kentucky's got 2 starters out on their defensive line with just a awesome transformer of a name, Octavius Oxendine. And I can't remember the other guy's name because the other one's, because the first guy's name was Octavius Oxendine. How do you expect me to remember like Joe Smith after that?
Right.
I'm going to be honest. I kind of just given the line movement, and I know that Kentucky can score points in a traditional throw the ball kind of fashion. If you look at how Arkansas is structured, they were built off like the RPO. They're, where if you shut down one element of it, you make them one dimensional. Well, they're a little bit harder to make one dimensional. I kind of want to lean towards Kentucky with the line movement and a little bit of the unconventional thinking here. Plus you got Georgia heading into the I'm going to keep calling it this, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party next week against Florida.
Right. Yeah.
It could be huge,
a little bit.
Yeah. Huge letdown spot.
And one thing too, to keep in mind, the total in this game is 44.5. If I ever see a spread that big with a total that low, I'm always taking the points.
Right.
Always. Because they don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring in this game, yet you're telling me Georgia's going to, Kentucky can't even get 2 touchdowns, really, is really like all they'd have to do to kind of fit that metric. And like you said, we're playing this in the Santa Anita contest at 23.5. Hell, if you wanted to play it right now, it'd be 21.5 in a lot of places. So you're probably catching some good value here on the Kentucky side, getting the opportunity with a few extra points here. Yeah, I'm leaning Kentucky and the Fighting B-Hose. Let's go Kentucky. That Howard family is going to be going crazy to see if they can stay within 20.
Just a random betting this game note. If you're gonna bet Kentucky, bet the first quarter and first half money lines. You get insane odds, and I feel like the odds of them like jumping out ahead early and then Georgia coming back versus them just getting pounded down and coming back late are not good. So I'm all over like the crazy plus money on that first quarter and first half money line.
Yeah, Georgia's not necessarily a team that they can score some points, but that's not their MO. Their tempo isn't up and down the field either. They're just more like a little bit monotonous about the way they do it. As we move along to the 7th prop on our list, and we're going to race number 7 at Santa Anita. So you can get a look here at the percentages and get an idea with the 1 Warren Showtime. As expected, the morning line favorite right now has been picked by 33%, but the 5 Bella Vita has actually been selected by 40%, and just a shorter field here. So just a field of 6. Who were you looking at in this race, Chase?
I am all over Anna Fantastic. If you give me an early speed horse and a weight break, I usually will be just all over that horse. So just shut up and take my money and let me bet this one, especially at 8-1. I got to think that there's no way this holds unless people put a lot of stock into a really small sample size and say that, the 0% trainer, Karen Headley, isn't worth taking the shot. But I mean, you had Maldonado up last time at Del Mar, who just, absolutely, did a great job running on the front end with this horse. I'm not sure if anyone else is going to get out there and challenge. And, whenever I see an extreme pace scenario like low and early speed, I'm going to go ahead and just, throw whatever handicapping I've done out and say, this is the horse that takes some gate to wire.
I completely agree with you. We're looking right now at the DRF Past Performances for race number 7, which is the stakes race, the California Distaff Handicap. They're going to be headed down the Hillside Turf Course. Very excited that they're back running down that Hillside Turf Course.
God, I love it.
Oh, I know. It's so fun. It's so unique. It's so much different than like any style turf course. If you've never looked at it, you can look on YouTube, and there are videos of how it's sort of up and down, and there's a little uphill, downhill, and then it kind of turns, and it's really, really cool. The way it plays is a little bit different. That is the only worry I have with the same horse that you have. And I'm going on Anna Fantastic too. There is not that much speed in this race at all. Edwin is aboard. He is going to send this filly. And you mentioned Karen Headley, who just doesn't run a whole ton of horses as much anymore, but they're very capable with their horses that are good and that have speed just like this. Anna Fantastic is going to get the lead in here. She'll have the lead likely on the turn, and she'll take him as far as she can go. She's just a quick horse. You look at the rest of the field. Bella Vita can press a little bit, but I don't think Bella Vita is nearly as quick as Anna Fantastic. Sedamar is not coming out of route races, going a little bit longer. You've got Pulpit Rider, who's also coming out of route races. You've got Cassie Bell, who's shown a little tactical speed coming out of route races. And Cassie Bell, what a shock in this race. She's got a shot. But if we're just talking about who's going to be on the lead, who's going to be pushing the pace, there's nobody else in this field that should be within a length or two of Anna early on, Chase.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Cassie Bell has shown that middle move. And middle moves can be just lethal in sprint races, but you need a setup for a middle move. Otherwise, you're just kind of middle moving into the wind pretty much.
Yeah. And then you're fading. You kind of just stop, you hit the wall, and you end up, tiring and backing up there.
I'm a big proponent of just don't read too much into trainer percentages. If the horse is live, if you think the horse is live, take your shot, because you might just be talking yourself off of a amazing odds horse just because someone's hitting at a low percentage. So, they're hitting at 5%. It's when you catch them in that 5%, it usually pays pretty well.
I think the more you play the more you gamble and the more you play races or sports or whatever you're playing, you get less scared of those situations, right? I think early on, you're like, oh my gosh, I like this horse and they're 20-1. How come nobody else likes this horse? Why are they 20-1? Why aren't they getting bet? And it scares you a little bit. But the more confident you become in your work, your preparation, your opinion, feel confident. And those are the best scores, right? When you have sometimes there's just an 8 or 12-1 shot that gets forgotten about, and that horse doubles. They're up at 20, 25-1. That's the horse you liked. You thought they were going to go the other way. I thought they might have been 5 or 6-1. All of a sudden they're up at 20-1, and boom. That's when it happens for you. Don't be scared off of big prices anymore. Those are the days that really can change your life, honestly, in this sport,
And the other thing is, don't forget it takes two to tango. Just because a trainer isn't good at something doesn't mean that a horse isn't good at something.
Absolutely. Or that the trainer just doesn't have the stock all the time. Or that, there are certain trainers that don't worry at all about their percentage. They start horses in races to get them more fit. They'll sort of use races as kind of training races to get horses fit, versus some barns can be a little more aggressive in the morning with their horses to get them ready. So yeah, like you said, it's just, there are different reasons all the time to not to necessarily be scared off of those big prices. And maybe we can get you this is a small field. And if you get a horse like Anna Fantastic, like if you're playing pick 4s and pick 5s at Santa Anita on Saturday, I would absolutely recommend that she's on your ticket in this race, because if they come down the hill and she's got a couple lengths on the field here, you're going to get a little bit nervous if you don't have her. Some others will be making late runs, but Anna Fantastic will try to steal it. We'll see if she can, with a very good gate rider aboard in Edwin Maldonado. So we move along to number 8 on the prop list.
This one is crazy. It should be simple. It's not simple. It's very not simple.
This is not. Yeah, this is funny as we pick up the Santa Anita contest prop with number 8. We move along to the odd or even. Here we go, right? So some of the races are a little more difficult because there are 8 or 9 or 10 options for you. Here, you only have 2 options, but you do want to go through race number 8 probably and kind of figure out which horses you like, which horses you don't like, who you think has the best chances. So looking at race number 8 now, let's pull it up on DRF, and we can show you what the past performances for this field looks like. And how did you sort of handicap this race with some of these contenders? Were you looking evens, odds? Tell us some of the horses who you kind of think were live, and then why you went to which side.
Okay, so it's a maiden claimant race. There's not a ton of race experience for any of these. So it's not like it's a maiden claimant where these horses have been knocking around for 10 plus starts.
No.
So I'm less likely to go with a new shooter unless the name Luis Mendez is attached to it. And so what I did is I really went through and I tried to look for horses with a history of passing other horses. Sure. So going through, the 3's got one, but also I see the 4, has passed other horses. I see Luis Mendez there, which we'll come back to. The 8, Suetta's Ghost, definitely has a history of making the closing move. And then, so because my 2 horses that have a history of passing are even, I decided to dial in on that. So I looked at that, and then I see there's our boy Luis Mendez and Juan Espinoza getting the weight break on the number 6. That's another even. Then I look at the number 10. We've got trainers are going to find out someday that I have these like nicknames that I'm the only person who uses them. And they're kind of that day.
You make yourself laugh with them all the time, but like nobody else gets it.
Like Suge McGahee's son, I call him Sweet and Low. There we go. Yeah. But then I see Doug O'Neill. He's got an early speed horse out there, so early speed carries, and it all just kept coming up even. There was one horse that I liked that kind of fit the bill for had passed other horses, and that was the 3. But I've got like 6 evens that kind of outweigh it. So I was on the even here.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm looking at The 2 as probably of the first-time starters, which is pretty live for Mark Glad, who's very capable first time out. Flame Magoon, which is a great name. You've got the 4, Artisan Dancer, like you mentioned. Artisan Dancer has one of the better races of experience so far. So, I mean, if none of these horses show up and improve, or the first-time starters aren't really all that ready to rock, it's probably Artisan Dancer's like going to be right there on the wire. You have the 6, Respect the Ride, for the very live Luis Mendez. You have the 8, Sueda's Ghost, who's another one coming off of back-to-back runner-up efforts. And yeah, the 8 is probably the horse to beat in here, but not a whole lot of speed. So maybe you don't necessarily want to single in on. Then you got Spoiled Rotten, who on the opposite end has actually shown a little bit of speed. I feel like you've got some pretty good opportunities there, and I feel like you just have much better opportunities going with the evens versus the odds. So yeah,
if it's the odds, I think it's 3. I think it's Miss Malia, and it's because one of my favorite West Coast angles, I call it the Lars. It's a Losal rail shipper. Horse
there you go.
Had drew post position 2 at Losal in these sprint distances. That's usually just a death, and it's also said it got a bump there. It's got DVD up for Eric Krujak. So if someone breaks up my evens, it's going to be that 3. But it's like I've got a team of 6 working against.
Yeah, I think with the 3, or even Bonita Leona would be the other one. It's like they claim this horse, they took a shot against a little bit better going long on the turf. Now they're just going to come back on the dirt and try sprinting again. We just don't really know if she's got any talent, or how much ability she has, but wouldn't be shocking to see her run better. She would be one of the upsetters of the odds if you're going odds instead of evens, but we are both on the even side for the 8th prop as we move along to prop number 9. Sounds like we're voting on something, right? Prop 9 coming up at Santa Anita, and in prop 9 you just have to pick the winner of race number 9. And so in this one,
if it passes, you can carry guns anywhere.
exactly. As race number 9 is a Calbred maiden special weight race going a mile on the turf course for 2-year-old fillies. We get an idea here of what the selections percentage have been for this 9th and final race on the card. You've got the bulk of the support coming in as expected on the 9, Candy on Top, who's a heavy favorite. Over 50% of people in this contest so far have selected Candy on Top. Warren Showgirl is getting a little support with 14% of selections there. Who were you looking at in this 9th and final race at Santa Anita? Not the final prop. There are a couple more after this, but the final race on the card.
I wanted Peacehaven, the Philip D'Amato horse with Jessica Pfeiffer, who's still an apprentice jock. When it comes to maiden races, I'm very much an angle player, and I'm very much an equipment player.
Nice.
And when it comes. Yeah, and one of those angles is weight breaks, especially in Santa Anita with the different whip rules. If you can get a horse that just can run faster, carrying less weight, and not really have to be urged to move from behind, then I'm always all over it. It's a little red feather horse, so there's a pretty decent pretty decent connections.
Yeah.
Honestly, English Channel, don't you want to see this horse on the turf?
Yeah. Just getting an opportunity and to continue to run on the grass in good spots. I think Peacehaven is at that price at 5-1 for those connections with that grass breeding, and the fact that this is a horse who's had a little bit of trouble and we probably haven't seen the best of her on the grass quite yet. Peacehaven, absolutely. I think I can pick 4s and pick 5s. This is a must use, and to me, this is a race where for sure, Chase, I'm not taking the 9 in this kind of a contest because everybody else is going to. And while she is no doubt the most likely winner of this race, Candy on Top is the one to beat. I look at a horse like Infinite Love, the one who was not that far behind Candy on Top. And Infinite Love was making her first start on the grass, her first start going long. she's got plenty of room for improvement. She can save all the ground from the inside. She can take a little step forward in here, and she can put herself right there. Maybe the 9, Candy on Top, gets caught up a little bit in an early pace battle with some of these other horses that are stretching out. I could see this because she has been forwardly placed in both of her starts. So while she's probably the most likely winner in this race, in a contest situation like this, when I feel like everybody's going in that direction, I'm going to try to go elsewhere. I think you gave a very logical horse that's like at 5-1, and my selection's right in that mix too at 6-1.
You know, one thing that I look at and absolutely can't stand is I cannot stand a passive jockey who will just, be content to sit back and let, a race run away from him. And just from my watching Santa Anita, watching West Coast racing, I love Jessica Pfeiffer. I love how aggressive she is, and I love how she uses that weight break.
I will always take the over-aggressive move versus the grab a hold and wait move. Because you know what? If you get towards the lead, you get to the front end, if you middle move up to try to get involved, at least you have a shot. At least you have a shot. Crazy things can happen. Horses can take a bad step. Horses can get tired up front. Weird stuff can happen with the equipment, with the reins, with stuff. If you're close and if you're involved and you're forwardly placed, how often do we see it on the East Coast nowadays in New York when just nobody goes and it's one horse that's 50 and change, these really slow fractions. That's one thing that I do like about Southern California is that for the most part, a lot of the speed horses are ridden aggressively. They're given their best opportunity to win, and it makes some of the other races play more fair. Because if everybody's doing what they're supposed to, they're putting themselves in it, it'll probably be honest paces. A lot of times the better horses win, and we hope that maybe the better horse is Peace Haven or Infinite Love in this 9th and final race at Santa Anita on Saturday. So we have a couple more props to jump into as we get back to the Santa Anita prop screen, and we jump to number 10, and we're going to go back to some college football in here. We have another one of the best teams in the nation playing this weekend, Chase. We're talking about Iowa, who has just perennially over the last couple of years, they're always really good. They're really well coached. They have a very good defense. They're not like a sexy team to watch, but they're a really, really solid program right now.
Yeah, they absolutely are. And it's worth noting, especially for this prop, the way that they're doing it is defense. Like, I don't even know if they have a quarterback. Like, I think the ball they just kind of kick it and then they score touchdowns, or the defense scores it for them. Like, yeah, it's your traditional Big Ten, 3-4 yards in a cloud of dust, probably a little bit more than that. They've always got dynamic tight ends, but they're never just like a take the top off kind of offense. And then you've got Purdue, which we have a saying in my household, which is just per don't do. And so, yeah, I don't see Purdue. The only game of theirs that I watched was against Notre Dame, and they their offense needs iron. It is anemic, and I don't see a lot of points in this one. Iowa, I feel like, is almost gonna have to score all 44 of those points on their own for this to go over.
Yeah, and Purdue's last 3 games, they have scored exactly 13 points in each game. Each of those last 3. And Iowa allows exactly 13 points per game. Kind of fit, right? Sort of feels like that's where they're going to be in that range. I see this game like 24-14. Iowa, in that range. And that's under for me also.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going under the 43.5 in this one as, Purdue only allows, like, for as much as we've kind of been razzing them a little bit, their defense isn't bad. They only allow around 15 points per game themselves. They've got a shaky QB situation going on. Yeah, I'm going under the 43.5 in prop 10 college football. Prop 10.
There we go. This one will allow slot machines at local daycares.
Yeah. Okay, number 11. How many?
I'm freaking you out with the Arkansas props right now. Guns and slot machines everywhere.
Guns, slot machines. That's all Arkansas. That's all Arkansas stuff for me. I don't know. I'm out here in California. I don't know any of that stuff. But we get to the California Santa Anita number ones for Saturday. That was just an awful transition. I was trying way too hard right there.
Yeah, that's twice now. I hate to count, but that is number two.
Building a bridge, and it was just awful. Like, throw me in the moat under the bridge as we get to
that one collapsed into the Ohio River, Gino.
Yeah, the number one post. So again, this is sort of like the prop earlier, I think was number 4, where you had to go through Juan Hernandez's mounts and Tyler Bays' mounts. I think you want to just sort of do the same thing here. Basic. You look at all the number ones, you kind of map them out. I looked at, okay, first race, the one is 8-1 morning line, 5th choice. Second race, 3-1 morning line, 3rd choice. Third race, 5-1 morning line, 4th choice. Fourth race, we got a 6-1 morning line, 5th choice. Fifth race, 8-1 morning line, 4th choice. In the 6th, we got a 12-1 shot, the co-longest shot in the field. 7th race, we've got the morning line favorite at 9-5. 8th race, we've got a 20-1 longest shot in the race. And the 9th, we have the co-third choice at 6-1. That's just basic. I'm very old school in that I like to write a lot of stuff out. I'm very visual with the way I do things, either write or type even. It's fine, but I'm more like written. And I see it out there, and I sort of am able to kind of, make my little chicken scratches all over the place. I got to 3 or 4 for me. So I'm kind of torn between 1 through 3 and 4 through 6. But I think in contests like this, whenever I'm torn, I'm always going to go contrarian. If I ever have a tough time making a decision, and I can look like here and go, okay, well, maybe I go 1 to 3, maybe I go 4 to 6. If I go 1 to 3 where everybody else, sure, I pick up a point. But wow, if I go 4 to 6 and I thought there was a chance for there maybe to be a 4, then I could really get a lot of separation on a prop that not a lot of other people will hit. So one thing I will make, mention of with the props that you fill out here, you can still adjust. Just because you fill them out, they're not set in stone. You can adjust them all the way up till when they go off. And you'll even see up on the top, it'll tell you, 21 hours, 8 minutes, and 31 seconds before you have to, have this prop selected.
Right.
Make sure you check the scratches for all these races and stuff. Because if there's 1 or 2 scratches of the one, that's going to change how you look at this prop. If 1 or 2 of Juan Hernandez or Tyler Bays' mounts are out, that may change how you look at that prop. If there are a couple scratches in the race that you thought might be a highest payout race, that may change the way you answer that prop. So be very, very alert at 12 o'clock, 12:30 Pacific time. So 3 o'clock, 3:30 Eastern time before your first post at Santa Anita for Saturday, on this contest. So make sure you're paying attention right up to post time. What did you think for this one? As how many times the number 1 will win on the card on Saturday?
So I'm very much a track bias player, and it went from like just kind of keeping like long-term stats to where I realized that you really track bias is so it's so quick. It can show up and it can be gone, and you don't really see it whenever you take a look at the long run. You have to break it down into the short run and see what your eyes are telling you, as opposed to like what a formula or averages are telling you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's certain things that when it comes to track bias that I almost kind of plan on, and one of them is when it hits the weekend on tracks, I almost kind of plan on early speed going into it, and early speed is usually plays very conducive to rail draws. You win the race to the rail, the horse on the inside, if it's got some speed, can just hit it and carry. You made an excellent point, which is you've got a while until this one locks up. Watch a few races and see. I think it doesn't hit before first post.
You want the first, because it's going to be the whole card, all the one.
That's right. That's right.
So, if you're watching like today, for example, there are still 3 races left on the Santa Anita card as we record this right now. The 6th race at Santa Anita just went off. So you can take a look and maybe get an idea of how the track was playing today. But you're right. That's something that you want to try to keep an eye on. And it's like when you play the pick 5 or when you play multi-race exotics, that first race, you can see the horses come out on the track. You can see how they look. The other races, you're sort of locked in, and that's kind of what's going to happen here. You'll be locked in once that first race hits. So I think 1 to 3 feels like the safer play. 4 to 6 for me is the is the little more bold, little more contrarian play.
And that's where I locked into was the 4 to 6, and it had to do with the fact that if I'm going to whiff on this, I'm going to whiff being myself. I'm going to whiff living my truth.
Yep, absolutely. I don't want to finish in the middle, 100th, 150, because there have been like close to 1,000 entrants in these contests. Some of the last weekend. I want to be first or dead last. I'm Ricky Bobby, baby. Right? That's right. Where I like. It doesn't matter it being in the middle. Now, one thing in this format, they actually do reward the person who has the most points at the end of the meet. So whoever's done well throughout. So if that's your approach and you want to try to aim for that, but that's not me. I'd rather try to steal one of these Sundays or Saturdays where it's just my day, my opinion is right, because that's the way that I play. That's the way I handicap the races. And that's sort of the way that you play too. We're not going to always just try to chalk out.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I will be a chalk eating weasel when I need to be a chalk eating weasel.
Sure.
I'll munch down on that chalk. I love a big chalky exacta. But yeah, no, you gotta take your shots. You 100% have to take your shots. Like if it's you playing Josh Gordon on your DFS lineup this week, if it's you hammering that 30 to 1, if it's you saying 4 to 6 races are going to be won at 3% picked, heck yeah. Let's just watch this thing come up ones, just big red ones the entire way.
1 1 1 1 1 1 all the way down. You know what? You don't even really have to handicap the card on Saturday, just ones.
Yeah, right? You might win an NHC seat doing that.
Yeah, you see some of those contests where everybody just ones all the way through. As we get to the final prop on the Santa Anita Saturday Pick'em contest props, 1 through 12. We're up to 12 now. This one's again gonna make you think a little bit. The largest margin of victory on the Santa Anita card for Saturday, over or under 4.5 lengths.
Way over.
So the way that I sort of handicap this race is, and the over is being selected quite a bit now. I looked at all the races on the card for Saturday. So there are 9 races on the card. There are 5 turf races. There are 4 dirt races. The dirt races are 6, 6.5, 6, and 7. Now, I'm going to go under because of that. Because I'm looking at the way the races are. I'm just assuming that in the turf races, they're generally much closer finishes, right? Like 4 lengths in a turf race, that's a butt kicking going on. That's a big margin of victory in a turf race. So for my purposes of handicapping this prop, I'm just going to say that those 5 turf races aren't going to be over 4.5. That's how I'm sort of looking at that. I could be dead wrong, but that's the way that I'm looking at it. So now I went back to those 4 dirt races, and the fact that there isn't even one route on the dirt, 4.5 lengths margin in a sprint race is also a pretty good margin. And so putting those 2 things together gets me back to 4.5 under. I even looked at the races that are on the dirt, the 8th race, which I picked as the most wide open race with the highest payout. So I don't think that someone's going to win that race by 5 lengths. The 2nd, 4th, and 6th races, which are all in the dirt, I think are pretty competitive. Based on the lines, you can see it looks like they're sort of competitive betting races. So, I mean, one horse could get the lead in the first race and go wire to wire and win by 5, and everything I just said could be out the window. But if I'm trying to make a case and get to a reasoning, that was my reasoning for playing the under.
I don't mind that. I feel like that's a much more pragmatic way to go about it than what I did. Gino, I'm not a prophet, but sometimes I have prophetic dreams. And one of those is I can just see one of these maiden races on the dirt have a horse that comes out of just absolute left field, probably one of these Luis Mendez horses, and it's just absolutely loaded. It fires, and those especially those races, especially those maiden races, I think it will happen in one of those. And the reason I say that is because in maiden races, a lot of times you want the horse that's going to dare others to pass. And a lot of times those horses don't know how to pass yet. So if they get passed, they'll just quit, and you just find a horse just absolutely loose on the lead. I'm going to say it's a Luis Mendez first timer in on the dirt on one of these maiden races. It just gets absolutely loose, and it wins by 29 and a half lengths.
29 and a half lengths. So if the over under was 28 and a half, Chase would still be going over, just to give you all an idea there.
Yeah. I'm a soothsayer. I'm not bright though.
Exactly. He's giving you a spoiler alert, folks, as what's going to happen in the future. And I hope all of you in the very near future get to pick'em.santaanita.com and enter this contest. It's super easy. We've helped you out, and maybe you want to fade all of our plays. That's totally fine. But the point of this, and hopefully what we'll do the next couple weeks, is just to give you a look at what all the props are, kind of get those wheels spinning in your head. Maybe you can, you like some of the things we said. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you end up kind of digging into some of these races. And I'm sure once you've looked at this contest and you've handicapped a few, you're probably going to put a few bucks in on the card throughout the day at Santa Anita. So a really good Saturday card, and just a couple more weeks of a short Santa Anita meet. Then they'll head in Southern California to Del Mar for a while. They come back to Santa Anita for that traditional opening day after Christmas, and they'll be running back at Santa Anita from the day after Christmas all the way, I think, into June for that really, really long meet. And we look forward the next couple weeks to helping you out with the Santa Anita Pick'em contest. Now, this is the one for Friday. And Chase, there's actually another. This is the contest. We're on Friday talking about the Saturday contest. There's actually another one on Sunday that you can also get involved in. So don't forget. Once you're done filling out your contest in your format for Friday, do this for today for Friday. See what I'm doing? We're talking Friday about Saturday. Saturday for Sunday. Do the same thing. Every Saturday, every Sunday. Free to enter. $1,000 in prizes. Does not cost you a cent. And Chase and I are going to help you out over the next couple of weeks. Chase, let us know where we can follow you. And you do a really great job providing daily selections and stuff right now. I believe you're covering Belmont Park, right?
Yeah, through Horse Racing Nation, I do a daily NYRA sheet up until the opening day of Ucla, where I will return to my ancestral home and spawning grounds to enjoy the winter. So yeah, you can find me, as always, being abrasive on Twitter at of Oaklawn. That's OF Oaklawn. If you're interested in those tip sheets, if you check out horseracing.nation.com and their picks section, you'll see the Wolf of Belmont handicapping. And that's up there every day for $9.99. And I've got a 30-day subscription plan. And man, one last note about this contest. It's like delicious, degenerate fruit salad. Say you don't like peach. It's cool. Just eat around it. You're going to get to the pineapple eventually. You
will. There's going to be a couple of these that are hard for you, right? There's a few of them that are difficult. You have to really think or map it out. And then there's a few that if you're into college football or if you've handicapped the Santa Anita card, you can probably breeze right through. But that's what makes it really fun and really challenging. And we look forward to seeing where you all are going to be stacking up on the leaderboard. A couple big thank yous to give out. A big thank you to Daily Racing Form, DRF, for letting us use those DRF Formulator Past Performances to kind of show you and give you a look at the past performances and what some of the horses that we like look like and what those races look like. Make sure to head on over there anytime you want to get past performances there. Formulator stuff, that's my favorite tool. And Santa Anita, if you're in the area, head out to Santa Anita. They will actually give some of the people that play these contests on track bonus cards. Chase, you and I were talking about that before we started. So if you go on track at Santa Anita, they will give you a code to get access to a bonus card. When you plug that code in, you can have multiple entries in this contest, and whichever entry is your best, they will just take that one. That's another thing that's really great about this contest. It's single entry. Yep. It's not like one of those DFS contests that you go at and you go, oh, that person has 5,000 entries that they built. You don't have that opportunity here. You only got one entry to get in.
Yeah, man. And if you want to get a jump on everybody, you have to go out and do things like everyone else.
Right?
Can't put it off. Just go to the track. You have to do something. Come on. That's the one thing you want to do.
Go to the track, go out to Santa Anita this weekend, play in the Santa Anita Pick'em contest. Chase, thank you so much, buddy. I got to say, this was your idea. You said, Gino, I love these contests. I want to talk about it a little bit. Let's have a live stream. Let's pump it out there. So great call on this one. I'd love to link back up with you for the next couple of weeks and do the same thing on Friday at around this time. It'll give everybody plenty of time to watch now before tomorrow. They can watch all throughout the evening, overnight, in the morning. If you want to have us in bed with you, you can also do that right there. That's great. In the shower, anywhere you go, we'll be right there with you.
Just put it in a Ziploc. We'll travel.
Telling you what to do in that Santa Anita Pick'em contest. Chase, my man, thank you so much. Everyone out there, if you can, give me the podcast. That's what G said. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. We'll give you all sorts of great racing, sports, pop culture information every single week. Have an awesome rest of your Friday, and good luck in these Santa Anita contests.